Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Cannabis Tech Talks. You are chopping it up with Chuck. I'm the editor in chief here with Cannabis and Tech Today. We always bring you the goods here on our award winning podcast, and this episode is no different. And by the way, we do have to say this podcast is brought to us by our generous sponsor, PolyScience. And we have a great guest today. We have former NFL star Lofa Tatupu, who is here to talk to us about cannabis, about CBD, about his experiences as a player, and about his company, which is called ZoneIn CBD. So welcome, Lofa. It is great to have you here.
Chuck, my man, thank you for having me, brother.
It's so good to talk to you. I saw you down at Tampa.
Yep.
They had an event down there, and I saw you up there. You were rocking the Sean Kemp. I was like, dude, Lofa, I remember you from your playing days. So just for the people that aren't familiar, you were USC, right? You were a USC linebacker, and then you were a major component of the Seattle Seahawks for a good amount of time.
Yeah. So football, was my primary business. I mean, football family. My dad played 14 years in the NFL. 13 for the Patriots, which is why I grew up in New England and Massachusetts, and then I just kept going further west. I went Southern Cal for football, for school, and then in 2005 I got drafted in the second round of the Seattle Seahawks, and man, we had a great time, up here for about 6 years. I played.
Yeah, and you were part of kind of the turnaround, of the Seahawks and that culture. I'm actually from the Northwest as well. Big Seattle fan, and it took we had a lot of lean years in the Seahawks, but I felt like Mike Holmgren really, and you and Sean Alexander and Hasselbeck kind of brought that winning culture there that has continued with Pete Carroll and stuff. But yeah, man, those were some great years, and we had some really really good teams.
Yeah, I know a lot of people don't realize that there was football before 2013 in Seattle because of all the winning we've done since Pete got here. But yeah, Mike was tasked with turning this franchise around, turning the culture into a winning one, and he did an incredible job. I think we had 5 division titles with him. I was lucky to be part of 3 of them. It was unbelievable time to be here in Seattle, and it's only gotten better if you can believe it.
Yeah, it's a really fun time. So did you always know? You said your pops played in the NFL. Did you kind of know like this was your destiny, when you were coming up? Was there like no question about it?
I felt like I was born to do this.
Yeah.
And I mean, it didn't always look that way because, I was one of the smallest, one of the slowest middle linebackers, and there was a lot of, naysayers back when I was trying to make my own wave and get out of the shadow of my dad. But just kept working hard, and that's one of the main messages I always when I talk to kids these days. Just chase your passion, and you'll never get tired because it's what you love doing. And I mean, so I don't believe that if you do what you love, you don't work a day in your life. You're going to work. You're going to work very hard, but
Yeah.
but you're going to have the strength to carry on when it gets tough. There's times where I didn't get any scholarships to play linebacker out of any major scholarships. I had one chance, and that was to play at Maine, 1AA. And so when everybody talks about my story, they talk about, the national titles, the All-American, the Pro Bowls, but they don't remember that, nobody wanted me coming out of high school except for University of Maine. And then from there, I transferred over to Southern Cal and made the, improbable jump as a junior to go to the NFL. I forego my senior season, and I felt I had outgrown it. That's kind of really what happened, and I didn't think my stock could go any higher, so I took the chance, and once again just followed my heart and my dreams, and went to the league.
Yeah. Do you feel like sometimes when you get told no or you get told you're not good enough, sometimes that can actually benefit you and make you, who you eventually become, almost like rocket fuel?
Yeah, that chip on the shoulder, man. Adversity.
Yeah.
It'll either build you or break you. And so I've always was always great at blocking out the noise, or even just turning that into motivation, and to prove people wrong. But I think as it went on, and you have to really love what you're doing, otherwise, because once you do somewhat have some success, the rumblings of he's not good enough go away. So what drives you then? And so for me, it's always just how much I love the sport, how much I love my brothers that I played ball with, and being part of something bigger than myself.
Yeah, and how important is the culture of the team? You know, like you hear a lot about that, like, you know, a winning culture, and obviously I'm sure a lot of that goes to the head coach, but you know, you've obviously experienced you know, that as a player. How important is that? Is that a real thing, you know, that people talk about all the time, and does that trickle down to the success of the individual players?
Absolutely. Team's everything. And, I think that's what the best do is they tell everybody, it's about the team, that no one does anything great on their own. And so, the sooner you buy into that philosophy of, hey, man, strength in numbers, and, that you want to go far or you want to go fast, go alone, you want to go far, go together. It's so true because, I wouldn't have any of the success that I did without all the great defensive players and even the offensive players that I played with. But, the D line that I had in college and the NFL. I had 8 first and second rounders in front of me in college. That made life
Wow.
very easy on me. I just had to
Yeah.
learn how to make tackles. And then I was extremely blessed when I got up here too, because the defense, they, a lot of people said, they don't have any stars. You're talking about all of us, right? And
Yeah.
but we had a bunch of guys that were great football players, loved football, and they bought into the team aspect of it. And so we led the league in sacks with nobody that had double digit sacks. It was incredible what we were able to do.
Yeah, I love it when something like that happens. And for the people that are listening, you know, that are in business and that are, you know, maybe in the cannabis industry or looking to get in there, it's the same kind of thing, right? Like, you know, who you put in your business and who you surround yourself with is going to help everybody be better because again, you're establishing that culture and that work ethic and that kind of camaraderie, and so that translates well from sports into business. Would you agree?
Oh, wholeheartedly. I mean, there's so many aspects of sports, which is why
Yeah.
we always encourage kids to, get out there, participate in sports, because it just builds so many life skills for you. Like you said, the teamwork, accountability, being early, not just on time. That's why I was a little freaked out when I couldn't find the link to this. I was texting
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
because it's important. If you want to be successful, there's a way to handle your business. And so, been extremely blessed to have strong leaders that I got to learn from, whether it was Holmgren, Pete Carroll, and then all the guys like you mentioned, Matt, Walter Jones, Sean Alexander, Hutchinson. The list goes on. All these guys that I could glean from and learn how to go about and how to be a pro. And it's only going to make you better when you step into the entrepreneurial world and become a business person.
Yeah, and I feel like too that sometimes when you're putting that thing together, it doesn't always start out all rainbows and puppy dogs and you know what I mean, champagne and stuff like that. Sometimes it starts out a little rough
Yeah.
and you know like you start hearing some grumbling and sometimes you know whatever, and what these great teams and great organizations do is they find a way to you know stick it out or they find a way to adjust and kind of stick with the plan because I remember you know there were times with the Seahawks where in the beginning with Holmgren and Hasselbeck and stuff, and it wasn't all pretty. And you know, it was kind of like stay the course, and ignore the noise outside, and believe in the people you know that you're working with, and that's got to feel good when you do put it together.
Oh, absolutely. When the big picture comes, the vision, when you zone in on that vision and it actually
Yeah.
comes true, it's pretty special. The places you can go and the things you can accomplish together. So, like I said, I've always had a strong team and always believed in it. And I think that's the biggest part of success, whether it's on the field or off it, is having that vision but believing in it and then staying the course, like you said. Time it's gonna be hard. I mean, if it was easy, everybody'd be doing it, right?
100%.
And so, I think the things that translated to off the field, and then my post football ventures in the cannabis industry and the hemp sector was just being tough and sticking with it, man. And I think it's easy to do that when you're doing something you love, and I love it because of the life that cannabis and CBD and THC have given me. They didn't when I left the NFL. I had in 6 years, I had 8 of my 10 surgeries. I had 15 plus concussions, and I was I was a shell of the person I was, the man I used to be. And now I'm sitting here in front of you today, not the person I used to be, the person I always dreamed of being. And I think that's the power of the plant, and why I'm such an advocate for it, on top of having businesses in the sector.
Yeah, and I mean, that's pretty powerful. I think as fans and people on the outside, we think like, oh, you get a surgery and then boom, you're done. You're just back to normal. And like, oh, you rehab from that injury. Oh, boom, he's back to 100%. But it's not really like that, is it?
No, the physical, a lot of people are tough to deal with the physical, the mental and the emotional that come with it though.
Yeah.
The torture and the trauma that set in from all those injuries, and just even, the fear, anxiety when you're sitting there. And I was already one of the smallest and slowest guys, but now I've had 8 surgeries. What good am I going to be to the team? And luckily my mind was my best asset. But
Hmm.
even then, when the concussion started setting in, it was really a task just to get everything together, to get going, to get through a day of what that whole day, all the work that, the expectations of a full workload, and then being, the really the processor for everybody, like trying to get the defense on the right page, telling, everybody where to line up, and then you got to get to your job. I mean, it was, looking back, I don't it's incredible. I wish I had CBD and THC back then. I
Yeah.
really would have got more. I would have retired a couple years ago rather than 10 years ago.
Yeah, yeah. So what is it? So talk to us just a little bit about. I mean, obviously, things have changed a lot from when you were playing. I don't even think they test for cannabis anymore for NFL players, which is a pretty big deal. And they're starting to. I just saw Charlotte's Web is now an official sponsor for Major League
Major League
Baseball.
Baseball, right? Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, we really have come a long way. But, when you were playing predominantly, what was the dominant form of medicine? Was it just,
Oh,
give them a shot, give them a pill? Was that pretty much it?
it was, because that's what the science says, right?
Yeah.
And then we're also talking about still a federally illegal substance in most states. So there wasn't very forward thinking or open minded to the possibility of plant medicine. And so yeah, shots. I mean, anti-inflammatories, opiates, like it was, all the stuff that we do have science on how bad and how harmful they are. Yes,
Hmm.
for a surgery, yes, it's necessary, but for a long period of that, that's not, it's not even close to a cure for what you're going through, and it's only gonna make things worse. As a matter of fact, that we have the hard data on that.
Yeah, yeah, and it's pretty cool. I was actually talking this weekend about the organization. I think it's called Merging Vets and Players with Jay Glazier, and I think that's really cool because there's always been kind of a similarity or a mutual respect, an admiration for those that serve in the military and professional athletes, and it's kind of cool to see them sort of come together, but it was the same kind of thing. I was in the Army in a light infantry unit in Fort Lewis, and pretty much anything you went in for, it was like, how can we patch you up and get you back out to RTD, return to duty, and here, take some Motrin, and that was the big thing, man. Whatever it was, yeah, I'm gonna take some Motrin, you're good. Here, get this, you're good. I think that it's cool that we're now starting to see that there are groups of people out there that can use cannabis, can use, CBD and have better effects than maybe the stuff they got, when they were whether they were playing or in the military. And just kind of curious about your thoughts about that.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for your service, brother.
Oh,
That
ooh,
did not go unnoticed, or we're very grateful for that. And you know, those are the real heroes, man. Like those are the guys, the PTSD, the brain trauma, the stuff that you guys have went through. We've experienced it, not to that degree, but the repeated hits to the head do not help. And so we've seen that. And yeah, I think the brotherhood aspect of both of it is really what we miss, about our
mhm,
days together. All of us, in football, the sacrifices of going, through all those long hours, and all those practices, and then those competitions. It's whenever you ask anybody, I just did a charity event last night, and I was up there with a bunch of former Hawks, and it was just great to see them, and the memories just come flooding back. And they asked us all what we missed, and of course, we miss competition, we miss that, but the number one answer from all of us was our brothers, and so
Yeah.
that's what it's about.
Yeah, yeah. No, there's a book out there, and I think it's called Tribe by Sebastian Younger, and he was a basically like an embedded reporter in Afghanistan with these soldiers that were out at this outpost that was attacked like every single day. They had no backup, they had no nothing. These guys were out here, and they would do a year, and they're every day like they're just constantly dealing with getting shelled, constantly out there battling for their lives. Of course they're going to have some PTSD, they're going to have some after effects. But the crazy thing about it was that every single one of them, later after they were done and they went to their next post and everything like that, they asked them to a T, to a man, would you go back right now? And they all said yes. Like that was actually that brotherhood, that counting on and everybody being important, really made them feel alive, even though they were in some really, really, really tough situations. So it's interesting how that's like a dichotomy where you're working harder than you ever have. You're out there, battling, figuratively or literally. And when you look back on it, that's when we feel our most alive.
That's what you miss, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
beautiful, man.
That's a cool thing though. But yeah, so getting back to the talking about the health and everything like that, did you have when you were getting concussions and stuff like that, was it like, oh hey, got a concussion, got to sit it out or whatever, or was it like, hey, this is a concussion, this is a big deal, were the doctors what was kind of the predominant sort of attitude when a player got a concussion, or did you think you maybe got some you didn't even know?
Oh, definitely some that went undocumented. But I love the Seahawks. I appreciate how they did handle it. I didn't miss any time because I cleared all my protocols, and I think
Mm-hmm.
I really count myself as I see a lot of these other guys that have gone through them. And I wonder if there was like maybe some scar tissue that built up to protect me from further damage. But you see some guys that get out there and they're like frozen, right? There's an involuntary, muscle reaction to what they just went through, and the body shuts down because it's saying this is the only way we protect ourselves. I luckily didn't have that where I was on, I did get carted off or helped off several times, but yeah, there was absolutely some that went undocumented, and it's Seattle did a great job. In terms of you got a number of a litany of tests that you have to pass in order to get back on the field, and there's a baseline that they assess you at, and then you come back and you revisit that test, and it's a lot of tests, man. I'll tell you that much. It's a lengthy protocol.
No, that's good. And as you're watching the games right now, when you see, I'm sure everybody saw what happened, like with Tua, that's a scary thing. I mean, just because, yeah, it's super hard to watch, and we really are just learning about brain science right now. We're just learning about. I mean, heck, we just learned about the endocannabinoid system, 20, 30 years ago. So, when you see this happen, it's like we've come a long ways, but we've still got a long ways to go.
Yeah, there's definitely a long ways to go, and excited. I think the NFL has pledged $1 million to research, and hopefully that opened up their minds literally to
Hmm.
using the plant, because I'm telling you, when I walked away from the game, well, I crawled away from the game. I mean, I literally got carried off the field, not in a ceremonious way. I was, I had an arm around each trainer, and they were like, I still have the picture, and I mean, it was a warrior's, death, so to speak, in terms of a career. So
Yeah.
I guess I could be proud of that. That yeah, I had to get carried off on my shield, man, and but it's yeah, it's something that really they're taking a closer look at, and I hope so. But I can tell you right now that I feel better than my Pro Bowl years at almost 40 years old because of this plant and what it's done for me. And it's opened up my perspective in so many ways, and even helped me grow as a family man, as a businessman, like we talked about. I'm even getting more definition in my body because of how the role it plays on our receptors. And now I was a guy that I worked out hard, but
Yeah.
I don't know if it was always the most efficient workout, right? But now I
Yeah.
can I can feel the muscle contraction, and that's why I'm
Wow.
so. It's like that runner's high that they talk about, and that
Yeah.
the pump that the bodybuilders chase. I
Mm-hmm.
I get that feeling, and I get the most out of my workouts now because of how enhanced my receptors are now compared to where I used to be.
And do you think that there's the entourage effect is kind of important? Is that,
Yeah.
when I mean, because obviously you've got a pretty highly trained body and you've been a professional athlete and everything like that. So you're a darn good person to ask. Do you feel like that is that's kind of like where the zone is?
Yeah, absolutely. And then it's even played a major role in terms of other, because, supplements, our body doesn't really intake, much of any
Uh-huh.
supplement that we take in. And so, like I said, with an enhanced, ECS or the roles it plays on my receptors, I'm able to actually feel when I take vitamin D how, my mood gets a little lighter, a little better,
Wow.
a sunnier disposition, no pun intended. But
Yeah.
it's um it's incredible because I used to think that all those products were shit. And am
Mhm.
I allowed to swear on here? My bad.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. This is 21 and up, baby. You
All
go.
right. So yeah, a lot of those out there, they're not really quality products, and so that was
Mhm.
what was important to me. Like when I did finally have the eye opening experience with a full spectrum, meaning all cannabinoids in the capsule. I mean, it was eye opening, world changing, and everything starts with, well, the gut and the mind because it's great for gut health. But
Yeah.
um, from where I was just 10 years ago, barely making it through a day with any energy, horrible sleep, whether I couldn't sleep or I couldn't stay asleep. Just managing my stress levels and making me more aware, which is why zone in. Like if you want to get better, you gotta start here inside.
Yeah.
And it's been incredible the turnaround I've had to health, and like I feel the best I've ever felt, man.
Dude, that makes me feel so good to hear because that's what life's all about. Like nobody wants to just like drag your ass out of bed and drag your ass through a day, and you know what I mean. Like sometimes it feels like you're on a hamster wheel and your body doesn't feel good and your energy levels are inconsistent, and like it makes it a grind. It makes life harder. It makes it harder for you to be present, for the people around you that you care about, your family, your kids, your coworkers, your friends. You know what I mean? Like when you talk about this mind body connection, this is connected. It is truly
There's no
symbiotic, and I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, I mean, Chuck, I when I left the NFL, all those surgeries, concussions, man, I got up to 280 pounds. Man, I gained like 50 pounds because I'm like
Wow.
45, 50 pounds. My playing weight was 235 to 240. And it was I started taking full spectrum CBD, full spectrum cannabis and hemp, and I just this monumental shift in my brain started happening with regulated stress levels and even pain tolerance going through the roof. I felt like a kid
Hmm.
again, and getting that proper rest, which a lot of people don't understand how important sleep is to set up that next day, right? That's where it all starts. And man, I thought it was too good to be true. I thought, snake oil, it's not because, I had taken the isolated form and saw very limited results. And so then I just kept researching, developing, hearing all these stories. And when I got a quality product, I was like, okay, this is real because now I'm going to the gym. I want to go. It's not like I have to go. And I think that's the perspective that everybody talks about in life is I get to, I don't got to, right? And so
That's huge.
I go, if this can do this for me, who've had multiple brain injuries, I go, I can't imagine what it could do for the rest. And that was really the reason for starting a company. But this is 7 years later. I think 2022. So 2015 is when I started this journey, and I've maintained my weight for 7 years at 240. So this is life. This is not
Yeah.
snake oil or a gimmick.
Yeah, no, no, that's awesome. Okay, so I'll tell you what, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We got to pay the bills over here. Give a shout out to our sponsors. And of course, big shout out to Polyscience, our title sponsor. We're going to be doing some stuff with them at MJ Biz. We are actually going to be recording a whole bunch of content. They're going to have a podcast platform set up there with Summit Research right there in the North Hall. So if you happen to be there at MJ Biz and you want to swing by and say hi, we'd love to have you. But we're going to be doing some content there. Polyscience science. Those guys make like the best chillers in the industry. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. We're going to talk with Lofa a little bit more about how he got started in his business. And again, you are listening to Cannabis Tech Talks. You're chopping it up with Chuck, and we'll be right back after this commercial break.
Every cultivator knows that facility design can make or break your grow. So why not choose the team with over 16 years of experience in the industry? Cerna Cultivation Technologies provides floor plan and architectural services, comprehensive HVACD equipment, lighting, and benching, and so much more, all within your budget. It's time to grow your way. Go to Cerna.com, that's SURNA.com, to learn more.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Cannabis Tech Talks. You are chopping it up with Chuck, editor-in-chief with Cannabis and Tech. Today, I'm here with Lofa Tatupu, former NFL star, and he is now are you the CEO and founder? What's your title?
I'm chief evangelist and co-founder. Yeah. I see. Hey, this is why you have a strong team, and everybody wants to play their part. And so, I leave all the heavy lifting to my team because, unless it's weights, I'll lift the weights, but other than that, no, man, I got an incredible team, and they do everything, and I just go out there and I try to educate and spread the message. That's really what I think my purpose, post football is. That if I can do it, anyone can do it, because I was a monstrous mountain to climb in terms of health and wellness.
Yeah, and I think that's cool too, because they like to. I think there's a saying out there that the comeback is always greater than the setback. And when again you have that kind of challenge, it sort of defines who you are and what you've gone through. And you mentioned you put on like 50 pounds. You definitely weren't feeling very good. And so just tell us a little bit about how you kind of went from someone who was using the supplements, someone who was using the product. Tell us what you were using, and then when did you have the light bulb go off that you were like, you know what, this is my mission post playing, and I'm gonna make this a business.
Yeah, so I mean, I was in the industry because I do have 1937 Farms. Me and Matt McCoy, my brother, who I played football with, known him since we were 18. We have one I-502 business out here in Washington, legal recreational cannabis. And when I was in the industry doing a number of things, whether we were growing, being a processing manager down there and making sure all the deliveries went out on time, you're an entrepreneur, you do everything, cleaning the bathroom, you do it all. And so no job too small, and which that's also important because it tells the team how important everything is, every role is. And so, we really got that thing going. We're actually going to expand our operations out there. We passed the conditional use permit. We're going to put 5 more hybrid greenhouses out there in Duval and 5x the production. So that's another big challenge coming up. It never stops, right? You're just continually a problem solver. But while I was in that industry, made a lot of great friends. And one of my friends just, I kept hearing, this is around 15, 16, kept hearing more and more about CBD. And, because everybody knows about THC, right? That's the popular compound. Well, I started hearing more about CBD, and then all the other minors that are in the plant, and full spectrum oil, the whole plant extract, all of it, and the entourage effect, which you alluded to before. And I just started doing more and more research, and I came across a quality product. It was a capsule made by Fairwinds Cannabis, James and Wendy Hull. I always make sure to show them love because their product was the first quality product I saw. And I even, we're through so rigorous testing out here in Washington because it's such a new market that which is great because it started making me like read food labels with how how pure products have to be out here. And so that's also helped the transformation. But I started taking their product, and I thought, I'd gone through like maybe 20 products already, and it was mostly isolate. Now looking back, because I journaled and tried to see, is this real? Do I feel any different? Am I getting any better? And like I said, with the isolate, it was very limited effects. Some people respond well; their system takes isolate well, and they believe in it wholeheartedly, like I believe in the full plant extract. And their capsule, it was just a full spectrum capsule. It was with super microdose on the THC side because I was trying to find like the weed light. I wanted the one that didn't make me high. It just made me happy. And
Yeah.
and that's really the effect I got. And then with the role it played on my pain receptors, uh,
Hmm.
I just remember waking up one day, like I had such a great sleep that, and I have sleep apnea, I suffer from that, but I had such a great sleep that my eyes opened up at like 5:30 a.m. and I was like, okay, this is different. Like I tried to close my eyes. I looked at the clock. I was like, I still got like 2 more hours because I was trying to make sure I got my 8 to 9 hours. That's how much
Yeah.
I required back then because of how poor sleep I got.
Yeah.
And I couldn't sit still. I was like a kid again. I was like, all right, well, I might as well get up and go get a coffee and get the day started. And I got up out of bed, and instead of dangling my feet to the edge and letting the blood come back, I just walked up. I got up and walked, and I was like, okay, that's different. Like, what's going on? And all these positive effects, chain of events, just started snowballing and happening. And the compound effect later was like, I was like, oh, I got the crazy idea. Like that good voice came back, like,
Yeah.
hey man, what? It's kind of like the Limitless. You know that in the movie where
Yeah.
he's just like, who lives like this? I almost had a outer body experience looking at myself, like, hey man, what are you doing? Like, let's go to the gym. And so my wife, of course, she's like, okay, here he goes again. He's on a health kick. This will last for a couple weeks, and then he'll go right back. And like I said, here we are 7 years later. And but as I continued to do the research, and then the farm bill happened, I was like, hey man, I you know I'd gotten some hemp samples with
Yeah.
full extract. I was like, hey man, it's just as strong as the other products that I'm using, but I had to be sure. So I got off the THC completely because if I was
Hmm.
to start a business that I want to help people, health wise, I had to make sure that it was the real deal. And so got a bunch of samples, and I took one after another and I documented and then I landed on a good formulation. It's everybody's different. Mine was right around my sweet spot was like a 15 milligram capsule in the morning and then a 15 in the evening, and it just moderated my stress so much that I I was living my best life. And so of course, then I went through all the steps, got incorporated, got a team together, and then we hit it, man. We started ZoneIn CBD, and ZoneIn, we're all athletes. Once an athlete, always an athlete. So and every athlete wants to live in the zone, right? That
Yeah.
flow state where you can't miss. It's poetry in motion. And so with all the things that have put together in my life, even like I said, my receptors, noticing how different foods started to affect me. Foods I've been eating for years,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, like I remember, I took my kids to a movie theater, and I grabbed a handful of Sour Patch Kids, and I love Sour Patch Kids, but I
Dude,
grabbed
who doesn't?
grabbed a handful of candy. I ate it, and then like within like 15, 20 minutes, I was just like nauseous, and I was like,
Wow.
what's going on? And I could feel how the sugar was attacking me, and
Yeah.
so by cleaning up, nutrition's another area that athletes really have to pay attention to, and everybody every day, in everyday life, there's obesity is running rampant around the nation, and so in the world. So
Yeah.
it's put all these things in perspective in my life, and so I've been forever grateful, and that's why I started the company. Because for I want to say for 2 or 3 years since I had my turnaround, I was just buying more product and handing it out to friends and family. And like, it's one thing for me to make a turnaround and a 180 and live my best life. But when you see the light come on in somebody else's eyes and them live a better life than they've ever dreamed of, it's like, this is why we're doing it.
Yeah. No, that's huge. And I think one of the things that's difficult about CBD is, when it hit the scene a few years ago and it was like everywhere and it was like, CBD, the prices of CBD were really high and like it was kind of like in its kind of like it was in its apex. I
Mhm.
feel like there was a lot of bad quality stuff out there and it wasn't all good. It wasn't all the good stuff. And so people were trying maybe lesser inferior, people were getting CBD at gas stations and people were saying, oh, I don't know if this stuff works.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that, kind of, give CBD a bad rap from some people because they weren't getting, like you said, full spectrum. They weren't getting quality product. Maybe it was cheap. It was imitation. I mean, we know in the supplement world, I think sometimes like 30 to 40% of the supplements you buy
Don't have
don't even have the stuff in it that's on the label.
it's Wild West. It's crazy,
Yeah.
yeah. And I mean, there was I think King Five, or there's a TV station a couple of years ago. They pulled a ton of products off of a pharmacy that was, and I think only 25%. So one out of every four product had, and I think they pulled about 20 products of different labels and different companies, and only like four of them or five of them had actual any CBD in it. And then two or three of them didn't even have the amount that they said was in it. And so we've always gone that, because I was in the I-502 sector for so long. I knew better, and I knew that, hey, not only do we have to make sure that all the minors and everything that we say is in here, but we also have to make sure that the microbials, pesticides, and all the other residuant solvents are not in there, because that's the toxins. That's the stuff that they also need to know. And like, I've seen some people even publish, I'm not gonna say who, but publish um, the COA, certificate analysis, with some of that stuff on there. I'm like, wait, how is this? You just going to put that batch out there? Like, how is that possible? So,
Yeah.
it's definitely given the industry a bad name, and then made a lot of non-believers out of people that could really benefit from it. And that's unfortunate, but I guess you just got to consider your source. And I'm not going to put my name on anything that I'm not using every day. Everything, all our products, we only have 4, because you don't really need many. And like, eventually your body's going to tell your mind how much and when you need it. That's really what's going to happen. And when you're on your journey. And so, we have 4 products, and I use all of them daily. And we'll bring more as, I vet them and I believe in them, but I don't want to put just anything out there just to make money.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that happens it happens in every industry. You've got a lot of people that go in because they want to do great work, they want to create great products, they want to help people, and then you've got some people that they want to cut as many corners as possible, and they want to make as much profit as possible, to where, like you said, sometimes it's not even what they represent in the label, it's not the right amounts and stuff like that. So I think it's cool that you've got this commitment to quality. You're not just slapping your name on something like maybe some other celebrities or, singers are, because there are a lot of celebrity brands in the cannabis and in that space. In fact, when we were in Tampa, I heard someone ask you, so just how involved are you, Lofa, with this business, kind of giving you a little challenge, to see what was up. And you were like, yeah, man, I sweep the floors. You know what I mean? Like, I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I, with 37, when I was full time in there, I was the processing manager, made sure the orders got out. I was in charge of buying, and when we were undersupplied, when our batch sold out, because we're a small grow, that's why we're expanding now. I was in charge of sourcing and making sure that was quality, make sure all those COAs were up to par, and so yeah. There was, me and my partner, really, I give all the credit to him, my team, Matt McCoy and his brother, Jeff McCoy, they've done a phenomenal job, growing great product, which I've had a hand into when we needed help on harvest day. So yeah, there's nothing we haven't done over there, and extremely proud of it. But I think that's also, you can't skip any steps if you want to be the best. And I think that's really what football taught me. And, being in the National Football League is, everybody's got talent, who's going to take it the extra mile and make sure, that everything is quality.
Yeah, 100%. And what kind of, I'm sure people listening right now are going to be able to relate, but, what are kind of some of the challenges you're dealing with right now, in the industry that you can speak to?
Oh man, there's a number of it. I'm always customer service. I'm always trying to make sure that all the customers, get what they want and have the experience that they want. So that's really where I say, the most attention really deserves, because people are trusting us with their health and wellness. And so always, we want to be quick to respond to any email or call in there. And so my mom, shout out to my Mama T, she handles that with Penny Cook, one of our CEO or COO, and but yeah, just that sourcing, making sure you got great product, and making sure that when you do send it to the lab to get tested for everything, it comes back as they say it was. So there's a number of things, you know, yeah.
Is you guys have any issues with supply chains right now?
No, not supply chains right now. We were actually
That's
good
good.
for another whole year. We've had ours shelf tested, stability tested, so to make sure that we don't run out of product and everything is on the up and up. But yeah, I've heard of that too, and yeah, because you're at the mercy of you want the growers who are experienced in this area to just do their job and supply you with the best product for your I don't want to call them customers, for your family.
Yeah.
I call them
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
fan base family. Like it's more than I don't treat anybody like a customer. It's family to us.
I think it's cool that you mentioned that because that's if you think of some of the great companies that are out there. If you think of like a Nordstrom, or you think of like an Amazon, or some couple of Northwest companies there. I feel like they're really customer service centric. You know what I mean? Like it's just and it seems like a really smart way to go about it. And I've had other people on the podcast as well that have said the same thing. We had Foch. Those guys make great lights. And they talked about the same thing, man. That customer service has got to be number one. So that's cool that that's front and center for you, because again, sometimes that gets put on the back burner, and it really does matter to your fans, to your clients, to your customers, whatever you want to call them. They want to know that you care, and if you've got an issue or something, you're going to handle it. You're not going to be like, oh, I'll get back to you next week.
Yeah. No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care.
Exactly. So where can people get, because you kind of got me excited for this. I want to start going to the gym. I want to work off this dad bod that I got here. I want to start, trying some of this ZoneIn CBD. How can I get my hands on it, and how can listeners find your products?
Yeah, ZoneInCBD.com. If you're in the Northwest, we're in select retailers out here. A lot of the Bartell drugs, they carry our roll
Oh,
deep,
cool.
and we're
Yeah.
calling it roll deep. We're trying to educate people too. It's the entourage effect, right? What do
Yeah.
entourages do? They roll deep.
Yeah.
And then
That's true.
the capsules, we got those in 15 milligrams, and then the tinctures too. It's the same oil, just capsules seem to be a big seller. People are just used to taking capsules. They're not used to sublingually taking droppers under the tongue yet. But
Yeah.
I use both. I use the capsules because for me, everybody's different. CBD, like to some people, it subdues them and kind of like puts them in the zone and brings them down from being anxious. And for me,
Yeah.
it gets me going, man. I take that dropper, and anything I set out to do, I crush.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it puts my mind, it gets rid of the clutter and just lets me go, which is probably accumulated from stress, and so. When you're stress free, you get to see what you're really capable of, what your true potential is. And then we got a energy stick, so it's like a pre workout. But I was hesitant. I call it an energy stick or packet, because I was hesitant to release it as a pre workout, because some people, well, I don't work out, and so you could still enjoy it without working out, because it's something like in the morning to get you going, or
Yeah.
when you hit a lull in the middle of your day. And so love that. And then what else? So we got the roll on. Yeah, those are all 4 products. And but yeah, the energy pack, man, it's called Energy Plus. And so whether you're going into a business meeting or anything like that, or if you're going to a workout, it is strong enough to sustain a full hour, 2-hour workout. I take it before basketball every day, and it's helped my shot. I'll say that much.
Well, dude, you've got me fired up. I'm ready to try it. I want to give it a go. I'm a big fan of, obviously anything that is going to help the endocannabinoid system. I know right now the rave is everything is full spectrum. It's all about the terps. It's all about the, all the different cannabinoids, and not just the extraction. So I think this is really, really cool. I encourage everyone to, check out your website, and if they want to get a hold of you, maybe like, to do some business or something like that, you got a way where they can reach out to you, LinkedIn or an email address or something like that.
Yeah. Like that. Well, yeah. Lofa at ZoneInCBD.com is my email. That's probably the easiest for business inquiries or podcasts or whatever. Also on Instagram, Lofa_Tatupu, and then Twitter, I think, is Lofa Tatupu 51. So, I mean, you can find me on most social media platforms. And I'm on
Awesome.
LinkedIn, but I don't always check it.
I know, man. There's so many platforms, and you're
There's
like, I
so
got to check
many.
this and that and this one. And yeah, I know it gets to be a lot. Well, listen, man, thank you so much for coming and chatting with us. It's been an absolute pleasure. I think that we have got I think we've got something special, on our hands between, what you're doing and what other athletes are doing to come out and talk firsthand about, your experiences, what you've gone through. I think that it helps people. I love the fact that, there's a lot of correlations between teamwork, in the sports world and in the business world. And you just got a really inspirational story. So thanks so much for coming on here, man. We really appreciate it. And yeah, anything we can ever do, you just let us know. But you're part of the fam now at Cannabis Tech today, and it was great to have you here.
Chuck, I appreciate you, brother, sincerely, man. Stay blessed, my man.
I will. And for everybody that's listening right now, you have been listening to Cannabis Tech Talks. I'm Chuck Warner, the editor-in-chief. We just had Lofa Tatupu. Make sure that you check out ZoneIn CBD. This is the real deal. This is not, some cheap products out there. This is real stuff. And if you guys use the products, let us know. If you experience anything, if you've got some good results or something like that, you can follow us on social media. It's Cannatech Today on pretty much everything out there. And if you want to put something out there for us, put like hashtag ZoneIn. And let us know, if you're using the products out there. Also, if you're going to be at MJ Biz, make sure you grab a copy of our latest issue. We will have Lofa in there. We're going to have Calvin Johnson on the cover. We've got a couple other different athletes. It's also our retail and dispensary issues. So we're going to have a lot of cool stuff related to that. And make sure that you swing by. We're going to be recording some content with Polyscience and our friends at Summit Research. And that is going to be at booth number 2417. And last but not least, look for some golden tickets. We're going to have these like Willy Wonka tickets, these little golden tickets in the magazines that are going to get you 20 entries for a big prize pack. So we've got a whole bunch of prizes from different sponsors. STM Canna is going to have a tabletop Rocket Box Mini that fills cones. I think National Cash is donating an ATM. So if you've always wanted an ATM machine for your dispensary, for your basement, for your man cave, this is your chance to get one for free. And make sure you check out our golden ticket promotion at MJ Biz. And last but not least, make sure that you subscribe. And if you like this episode, go ahead and hit the like and the share button. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time on Cannabis Tech Talks.
Hey, hello, I'm Tommy Chong from Cheech and Chong. Wait, you didn't think people would know who I am? Durachill. This is Durachill. This is Durachill. This is Durachill. No, I don't talk like that. You want me to sell this? Buy it. Try Durachill or else. If you want something really nice in your laboratory, buy Durachill. You can't go wrong.